Hi, welcome back to Influential Dental, where we are bringing on some of the world's most influential leaders in dental. And I'm very excited about our awesome guest today. But before we introduce him, Michael Keeter, I'm going to actually let you introduce him in just a second. But we are actually recording from New York City today, which is very exciting. We've been at NYU today, and you guys can all see who my guest is today since we're all sitting together. But Mike, I'm going to let you introduce him. And I'm Julieanne O'Connor. It's a pleasure to have you back. Thank you so much for listening.
Yeah, thank you, Julianne. It's amazing treat to have a good friend and a true pioneer in dentistry in Australia. And that was my good friend, Dr. Ned Restom. And we are guests here at NYU with him to work with him in the Australasian Implant Academy, which he is one of the founders of. And Ned can talk to us a little bit about that amazing organization and also his amazing growth of his clinics with his Smile On brand. So before we get into that, I just want to introduce again my friend Ned Restom, who I've known, gosh, for almost 10 years now, where we did some initial implant training here in North America. When I was with Noble Biocare, I got to spend a lot of time with Ned, David Boswell, who's also part of his team, and really get to bond. And that's kind of what we're about at Influential Dental. And 10 years later, we're still friends. I've been out to Australia a few times as a guest of Ned and his team. And yeah, it's just,
Speak.
and we'll let him speak. And he's a pilot as well. So Ned, thanks for being here. And yeah, please let us know a little bit about yourself and your journey.
Thank you very much for hosting me here. Actually, I'm in New York City, out of all places. Julianne and Mike. First of all, I want to thank you both for all you're doing for the dental industry, getting the message across. I'm sure that a lot of the junior clinicians all around the world, want to hear from not just me. I mean, I'm like sort of still starting in a way, but a lot of more influential dentists just to follow the footpath, and because these guys have paved the way for a lot of people like us starting out to learn from each other. I think dentistry historically has been a very lonely profession where everyone's isolated and not a lot of people are helping each other get better. We're getting in an industry which is amazing. I believe I love my job, and I think it's a privilege to be able to have this job. But at the same time, it is a tough job. It's not an easy job. And the more we can help each other, the more we have people like Julianne and Mike spreading the message, spreading the word, the better our profession will become.
So we have so many questions for you. I should probably not clap. It's probably noisy. So we're very candid on this show. Okay, so you're gonna find out really quickly. First of all, you've grown your practice to how many locations at this point?
So we've got an interesting company, as you know, to answer the question directly, around 44 businesses, but that includes a lab, fully functioning lab that does everything from single crowns to full arch to splints to everything we need to do. We have a training academy, the Australasian Implant Academy, which is one of the leading academies in Australia in dental implant education, thanks to the United States and the support from all the senior clinicians here who've helped us put the program together and take it to Australia. It's been a big game changer for the industry for us.
I've seen like Knife Sonata training there, and you've got Dean, and you've got
Dan Holsclaw. I mean, we're going back from here. Dan is already there driving a caravan. House Dr. Jim Rutkowski, Dr. Bart Silverman, the president of BOI, Dr. Adriana, who's the head of the implant training program at NYU. The best of the best. Yeah. I mean, we've been blessed to have them with us. That allowed us, we've got around at the moment 39 dental locations and around two big, large medical locations. We've got a day surgery, a day hospital that sort of specializes in dental, which has got two general anesthetics operating theaters. We've got 12 specialist anesthetists rotating to provide the services, recovery staff, recovery nurses, recovery suites. We've got the dental lab in the same premises, a lecture theatre on those premises, and the lab at the same time. So it's like a one-stop shop for patients.
How are you managing all of this? I no, seriously. And you're flying, and you're having.
And he has a wonderful family. And again, real quick, before we start with that is, Ned, and where it starts is grounded. Like I said, I mean, I was a newly rep in Noble Biocare, and he really did care to spend the time with me and to work alongside and to introduce me to David Boswell, who's one of his partners. I got to meet his family when I was in Australia. He really took me in. So Ned truly is one of the great people in the industry and shares the love. But how do you do, Ned? Because you are a pilot, which I think a lot of folks want to hear about. You do have a wonderful family. You're a businessman, you're a practicing clinician. I know how hard you work. So how do you manage it?
If you love your job, you don't work a day in your life, right? I mean, that's to start off with, right? I really love what I do. I'm in a position now where I'm blessed enough to be able to mentor a lot of young clinicians. So we rely heavily on them. We rely heavily on the support staff that we have. This company, as you know, is not just me. It's there's a lot. There are a lot of people in the background working together. The nurses who are helping us with the patients, all the way to the support stuff in the back office. The bigger the company grows, the more you have support from people. We've got, for example, I've worked for years with two of the best Straumann implant reps. One of them became this two-state manager. She managed 2 states, and today she's one of the regional managers for Smile On. We rely heavily on these people, on our support team, because if you're close with your support team, that business becomes your business, becomes their business. And I believe that a successful business, everyone has to love their work and everyone has to love and benefit from the growth. So you can't, take everything yourself. You have to grow the whole team with you. And that's what I think is the key.
So when I met you, so Mike introduced me to you, of course, and we had dinner and you guys were just out having a great time and you brought a team of people with you to LA. And that's where we originally met. Now we're in New York City. You brought this huge team again with you. So what's your sort of secret to leadership that you're bringing people out to train in these places that are far away from home? And that you're incurring huge expenses to
Yep.
do that. You're putting them up in beautiful locations, taking them to the nicest dinners. What's your philosophy behind that whole team
Again,
leadership?
we're growing and developing the team as we grow and develop ourselves. There's a big joy in making it yourself or developing your own personal self, obviously. But once you develop yourself and develop your team with you, there's a bigger joy there. I mean, you're still enjoying yourself while you're achieving results, and everyone's benefiting and everyone's getting better. Our company, Smile On, we've taken a different angle. Obviously, our industry is very corporatized, as you know. Big corporates own most of the dental practices, or at least more than 50% in the United States, and the same as Australia. Our dental clinics are very private, but we took a different edge. We focused on regional areas. Yeah, we do have city practices and urban practices, but our base, our model is regional. So we thought the regional patients usually are the patients who, for some sort of reason, end up not getting the best out of the dental care just because of the remote locations and because of the inability to travel, the cost of travel. So we decided, you know what, instead of us bringing the patients to us, we'll go to them. We've set up regional centers to deliver high-end quality clinical care in those regional areas. So they don't need to travel to Sydney, in this example, to New York or Los Angeles to get this high-end treatment. They can get it in regional California or in regional upstate New York or in, Arizona, wherever. And that the model worked. And instead of setting up clinics to compete with the local dentists, we thought, no, we want the local dentists to be our partners. So we partner with these dentists, we buy majority equity in their business, and we go, look, let's bring in the clinical services that you've lacked in these clinics. And that's the successful recipe, because these clinicians go, wow, well, now I get the education, I get the clinical support, I upskill myself, and, as a benefit, provide higher quality care for my patients, so my patients are benefiting. And as a symptom of all of that, you make more money.
Symptom. I don't call that a symptom. I call that a benefit or a reward. I know, Mike, you're going to ask him some personal questions there in a
Yes,
second.
go ahead.
But this is awesome. I'm so impressed by what you've created and built, and even just in the last year. I mean, your level of growth in 1 year is extraordinary.
Correct. Everyone looks at us that way. And remember, we're not backed by private equity. This is organically growing company with one brick at a time type thing. And because the model works, we're able to bring in 15 new locations in the last year, and we'll probably have another 20 to 25 locations coming on board this year, which is, I think, a big thing. And this is, again, no private equity. It's us cleaning. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but I'm saying that in our case, it's been ourselves.
He needs help in Australia with the building some elite teams, I have no doubt, right?
Exactly. That's why we're here. And yes, the training center, AIA, or Australasian Implant Academy, is the best of the best. I mean, I've been in the industry almost 20 years, and I've met a lot of clinicians and a lot of great training courses and individuals here in the United States. But in Australia, what Ned and his team do is truly best in class and does rival any training institute that I've been to. And again, it starts with the type of people. They're also bringing the best of the best from around the world, especially in the United States, to come out to Australia. And they're open to holistic dentistry, where there's treatment planning, which we're going to be talking about tomorrow here at NYU with Ned and his group, but also the overall quality of education. And to tell these doctors that they can learn quality education, they don't need to be afraid, and they have mentors and partners like Ned, Dr. Sonata, and others that can be there for them. So yeah, I do want to ask a little personal questions, a little bit so our audience knows. And before I do, Julieanne, do you have any other thing or follow up on the
Yeah,
last?
jump in there. I want to know more about
Yeah.
that.
Ned, tell us a little bit about how you got into acrobatic flying, because I've seen some of his videos and it is wild. I mean, he's doing flips and rolls and things, and he also takes that plane to his rural areas. So not only just for fun, but he also does it as business. But how did you get into flying?
You're a third pilot, by the way, from
Really?
space that we've had on this
Yeah.
show.
Yeah, I think dentistry and aviation have a lot of things in common.
Yeah.
I think from a personality point of view, to be a successful clinician, you have to follow you have to be disciplined. You have to follow a lot of protocols. You have to follow a lot of checklists. And I think aviation had a big influence on my life since when I was a kid. I did an intake into the aviation world when I was 17 and decided to go down the path of university rather than aviation. So I got back into it in my 30s when I could afford to go back into aviation as a private individual. I started with obviously, I've got a lot of friends who had previous military experience and served in the military, and they do a lot of formation aerobatic flying. And by hanging out with them, and I thought, well, I'm going to do that too. So I took it, did it properly, and we built a whole team that was doing a bit of show flying, a bit of display aerobatics, and which was it's just very addictive. I mean, it's an adrenaline thing, but it's not. It looks aerobatic flying looks like zygomatic surgery. When you first look at it, you go, "Oh my God, this is what's going on. This is a mess." But it's not. It's a coordinated series of moves that you have to follow the same routine every single time and put red line, red tape where you can't cross that line, because in aviation, if you're in aerobatics at low level, you're going to die if you break that barrier. So it teaches you to do the same clinically. And the second part of the flying that I enjoy doing, which is in different types of planes, is commute flying, which is instrument flying. So I've got an instrument grading, and I fly both piston aircraft with my team to go to regional areas. Like, so if you're traveling 300 miles, you drive that, it's going to take you 6 hours. But I get up at I get there the day before I operate. I've got a whole team with me. They issue the prosthetics the next day. And that next day I leave, for example, at 5 a.m. I'm back 300 miles away by something like 7 a.m. and back doing another job or more meetings while the team is training to issue the prosthetics for the patients, and the local team looking after these patients. And at the moment where we are expanding in different parts of Australia, like Tasmania, which is probably 1,000 kilometers away, or 700 miles away, sort of made us now need a quicker aircraft, which is the jet type.
So you got a jet?
Yeah, I've got a jet.
I'm so sorry that you have to take the private jet.
So I'm finding practices as regional as I can, so I will buy a jet.
So I grew up with, my dad was a pilot, and I used to log the flight times to get free flying lessons in exchange for, whatever. And it was so much fun. And my sister's a pilot and her husband's a pilot. And so I am literally jealous right now on every level. But what about helicopter?
Yeah, helicopters are great. I mean, I'm not a rotary pilot, I'm a fixed wing pilot. So, and in the requirements and need that I have, I need a fixed wing plane because they're quicker. They can get from point A to point B a lot quicker. At the moment, I've just started my twin jet training, like a command instrument rating with twin jet endorsement. So I'm coming to the US next year to do a week in the sim once I do my 100 hours on the right seat.
So if you're a new grad out there who's tuning in, you can just see the potential, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
And
it's amazing.
and then it creates two jobs and it keeps you, but look, what aviation does, because you have to fly and you have to operate. You've got two parts of your brain that have to be active. So I'm planning weather, I'm planning flights, I'm logging flights, and at the same time I'm planning surgery. Both are very similar. Both require discipline, require you to be mentally fit and healthy, require you to go to bed early and get up early and be sharp. Otherwise, you can't do both.
So I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you, but do you teach your clinicians that this kind of concept of the atomic habits, or somebody would teach about the 1%, like because you can apply it obviously. So do you bring that into your training?
Correct. That's exactly what I do. I tell them you have to follow the same checklist every single time. The biggest risk to any human being, and this is a human, not fault, but defect, is complacency. Well, you go, I don't need to do this step because I've done it a million times, and that's when you make mistakes. In aviation, experienced pilots make errors by not following the checklist, right? And that's the biggest cause of accidents in aviation is human error. The biggest cause of issues in dentistry is biggest cause of failure of an implant is an implant placed too buccally where you've got less buccal bone because they didn't follow the same planning protocol. If you don't plan for weather, you have crashes. Look at the ATSB investigations of all around the United States, all around Australia, where people have had trouble, private pilots in particular, where they've been complacent, they didn't do their planning, they've faced weather, and they're not instrument pilots, they end up crashing, killing themselves and their loved ones. Same with patients. If you rocked up to work, and you have not planned that implant, followed the same planning protocols every single time. So rocked up, failing to plan is planning to fail. That's big in aviation and big in surgery. Follow your plan, follow your checklist, and you will pick a lot of things that could potentially go wrong. Do not get complacent is the biggest thing that I force myself. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I force myself. I keep it in the back of my mind. Cannot get complacent. It's the same flight you've done 20 million times, but it doesn't matter because you can still have a problem with that same flight that you've done 20 million
It gives me comfort. I want to fly with you now.
If I have somebody having to do surgery on you, he's one of the person that you could do surgery on myself and any of the folks I know. A couple questions I have, and again, thank you for your time. I know you got plenty of other things.
Yeah,
to
we
do.
actually have to wrap up here quickly.
Yeah.
This is a short. We're gonna have a short episode, but we're gonna bring Ned back on. I promise.
One thing our podcast is called Influential Dental, and it's the name of our company as well. I would like to ask you, Ned, as a child or in your college years or even now, who has been influential in your life and who has been a peer or mentor to you and why is that important and how did they mentor you?
I've got a lot of mentors throughout my career, and I always look up at people in different parts of my life who have done better than I have, in my opinion, anyway. A lot of people give you advice, but if I would say something simple, and it's not being arrogant, never take advice from someone who you don't want to be like. So if you look at someone giving you advice, but you go, I respect your advice, but you don't, I'm not interested in how you lived your life. I'm interested in how he lived his life, whoever that person is. And I'll take advice from that person. Now, in dentistry, I've got multiple mentors. One of them is Dr. Jim Rutkowski. Everyone knows Dr. Jim, and he's been an amazing, influential figure in my clinical life and clinical career. And we wouldn't have been here as the Education Academy if it wasn't for Dr. Jim Rutkowski. Dr. Dan Holsclaw, surgically as well.
Good guy.
Right? Like such a nice guy, such a humble guy. If anyone meets Dr. Dan, he's one of the best in the world for textbooks. But he is so humble, no one would know that if you've met him on the street.
Right.
So that's been influential. And in aviation, I've got a couple of pilots who I look up to. You know what I mean? They are professional, they are experienced, they are amazing and humble. So yeah, find yourself a mentor and follow their footsteps and associate yourself with them. You end up like you end up exactly like the people you associate yourself with. Right? That's just the point.
Well, how about little Ned? Who was influential in your life, Ned?
Oh man, it was definitely Tom Cruise.
I can see the resemblance. You're right.
And next week, we're going to get to hear and hopefully meet Nicole Kidman, who's actually speaking at an event. So listen, we do have to wrap this up quickly because I know we have dinner plans,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And so we want to be respectful to the whole team. I really appreciate you being on the show today.
Thank you very much.
And where can people reach you? How can they find you if they want to reach out?
Anyone wants to reach out to me, please email me, smileon.com.au. Yeah, that's smileon.com.au. And
The accent. It's so
if
cute.
if you want my number, contact Julieanne or Mike.
We'll never give out any.
Please give them my mobile number so you can reach me anytime. I'm only asleep 5 hours a day.
That is true. You only see 5 hours a day. And also, if you want to go to Australia and get some amazing training courses, look up Australasian Implant Academy, and we have that information as well. And we look to collaborate in the near future with you as Team Ned and your team. And again, thank you for being here. And also, we want to thank our American Dental Institute
For collaborating.
for collaborating with us.
Support you guys anytime as well that you're in
Yeah,
the area.
As well, definitely.
And then a shout out to Dr. Knife Sonata and of course Dan and everybody. If they want to come on the show, we're going to have them on here before long too.
Definitely.
Such a pleasure. Thank you again.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks
Bye.
to our listeners, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Thank you.